Right now, as you read this, Amazon's checkout page may be running a pricing model that the company's own engineers named after a monster. It's called Project Nessie. The Federal Trade Commission says it's designed to raise prices across the internet and watch who follows, and even after regulators found it, they still can't fully account for where it went. This isn't a rumor. It's in a federal court filing, and the mechanism behind it is still legal enough to run today. Amazon has always told the public its pricing engine exists to protect you, to guarantee you're getting the lowest price on the internet, automatically every second of every day. Officially, it's called dynamic repricing, and it's marketed as a customer-first feature. Millions of price changes a day, tracking competitors, undercutting them in real time. That's the story Amazon put in press releases for over a decade. Regulators didn't dispute that dynamic pricing existed. What they disputed was what one specific version of it was actually built to do, because according to the FTC, one internal system wasn't built to lower prices at all. It was built to raise them quietly and see who noticed. Here's what the unsealed complaint actually describes. Project Nessie allegedly used Amazon's read on the entire online retail market, not just its own sales, to predict when competitors would raise their prices in response to Amazon raising its own. If the algorithm calculated that rivals would follow, Amazon pushed the price up first. If competitors matched, Amazon held the higher price across the board. If they didn't, Nessie quietly reverted back to normal. The FTC alleges this ran from 2015 into 2019, and that it extracted more than $1 billion in extra charges from ordinary shoppers, one algorithmic decision at a time, invisible in the receipt, invisible in the app. No customer ever saw the word Nessie. They just paid it. Amazon didn't get caught by a whistleblower leaking a memo to a reporter. This came out of a federal antitrust lawsuit, the FTC, joined by 17 state attorneys general, suing Amazon in September 2023 over exactly this kind of conduct. And here's the part almost nobody reported afterward. The FTC's complaint says Amazon itself pulled back on Nessie around 2019, not because it got caught, but because internal teams flagged it as a legal and reputational risk if it were ever discovered. In other words, the company that built the surveillance-grade pricing tool identified its own danger years before any regulator laid eyes on it. The agency meant to protect competition didn't stop this. Amazon's own risk assessment did temporarily. And temporarily is the operative word because the complaint doesn't allege Nessie was deleted. It alleges it was shelved. Now here's the mechanism that makes this almost impossible to permanently kill, and it's still running in principle across nearly every major online retailer today, not just Amazon. Dynamic pricing engines aren't a single tool you can switch off. They're a layered architecture scraping engines that read competitor prices thousands of times a day, forecasting models that predict competitor reactions, and execution layers that push new prices to the storefront in milliseconds. Project Nessie was allegedly just one specific tuning of that infrastructure, a set of rules laid on top of a system Amazon was always going to keep, because that system also runs the legitimate price-matching Amazon advertises. You cannot ban the engine without banning dynamic pricing itself, and no regulator has done that anywhere for anyone. The legal loophole is structural. There is currently no U.S. federal law that requires an algorithmic pricing system to disclose when it raises a price versus lowers one. There's no audit trail requirement, no telemetry log Amazon is obligated to hand a customer. The FTC case is still in litigation. A trial date has been pushed toward 2027. Which means the exact tool at the center of the allegation could legally still be operating in some form inside Amazon's pricing infrastructure right now, while the case that might stop it grinds through discovery for years. And it's still running because, still under review and still operational, are not mutually exclusive in American antitrust law. Think about what that means for your own account. Every price you've seen on Amazon in the last 5 years passed through a system regulators allege was built, at least once, to test how much more it could charge you before you'd notice or walk away. You have no way to see your version of that test. There's no button that shows you the counterfactual price, what you would have paid if the algorithm hadn't decided you'd tolerate more. The receipt just says total. It doesn't say extracted. And that's before you consider that the FTC's own complaint admits it can't fully reconstruct Nessie's later activity. The paper trail thins out precisely at the point they say Amazon got nervous. So ask yourself who actually benefits from a lawsuit that takes 4 years to reach trial against a pricing tool nobody outside the company can inspect. Ask why the agency built to stop exactly this kind of manipulation is still, right now, arguing over depositions instead of an outcome. And ask the question Amazon has never answered under oath. If Nessie was shelved in 2019 for being too risky to be found, what replaced it?